record. Recording right now. Hey, everybody, I'm Adam Reelman, and this is Your Personal Record, the show where I talk to people about music, about record collecting, about whatever we feel like talking about. Today, on episode 16, that's right, I can't believe myself that I've actually gone through and done 16 of these. I usually stop pretty quickly on things that I start up with. But anyway, episode 16, we have got Sal Nunziato. Sal was owned a CD shop in Manhattan. He himself is a record collector, a record dealer. He's got a great t-shirt on, which we're going to talk about. Welcome, Sal. What's doing?
Hey, Adam. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, right on, right on. Wow. So you have nice light in that room, nice plants, and great shirt.
Yeah, isn't it? I know.
That's one of those Stuff by Mark shirts, right?
Stuff by Mark. Yeah, a friend turned me on to him, and this was the first thing I saw that I just went bananas over, and then I became obsessed with it. So I've been buying one a week, for like the last couple of months.
Now he does. He's in England, right?
Yes.
And he does these these terrific cartoons of rock and roll. It's like all the stuff that I'm into. And, he'll do like Ramones looking like Scooby-Doo, or these, like television as Hanna-Barbera cartoons. And
yeah, like I bought the Sparks one, where it was a Saturday morning TV show with Sparks, music you can dance to, and their cartoon characters, just very clever stuff.
Yeah.
Another favorite was he did the cover of Michael Jackson's Bad, but as Bob, and it's Bob Dylan in a leather coat in the same.
I remember that one.
Yeah, great, really great stuff.
He's great, and he comes out with stuff like almost every single day. Yeah. And it's really creative and really just, on. He knows what he's doing.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The style is great. The fake movie posters that he does are also phenomenal.
Really.
So let's talk records here. All right. So you owned NYCD.
Yes, I had been working for Gary Rosenowitz, who was, if you remember Zig Zag in Sheepshead Bay, it was this great store on. Yeah, okay. So I lived around the block from Zig Zag for a while, and became friends with Gary and Arnie. And then I worked for him on St. Mark's, and then a bunch of us working at St. Mark's went up to the Upper West Side to open up the shop, and that was in '93.
Now, where were you on St. Mark's?
We were on St. Mark's between 2nd and 3rd.
Which shop?
Smash.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I knew Smash. Yep.
Yeah. Everybody knew Smash. Everybody hated all of us because Gary was such a pill to work for, and but we knew we had to get out of there, and so we moved it to the Upper West Side. That was '93.
All right. Now Smash was the one that was downstairs.
That's right.
And it turned into Rocket Scientist.
That's right.
All right. And so I want to talk about Zig Zag again. So you live around the corner. I used to go to Zig Zag all the time.
I spent my entire high school years in Zig Zag. That was where I went to school. And it was amazing. I mean, all those singles that were tacked to the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, there had to be hundreds of singles tacked to the wall, and there was nothing like it at the time. Titus Oaks, on Church and Flatbush, that right. was that was the cathedral. But this was right around the block. I was on 22nd between U and V.
That's so good.
Just yeah.
I used to work. My uncle has the trophy store farther down between Ford and Coyle. Right. And I used to go, I was there all the time. When I was working at the store, I was going to Brooklyn College and would go into Zig Zag, twice a week. Stan was working there.
Yeah. I mean, it was something because, both Gary and Arnie, they were real characters. They were, and then Tony Panizzi was there for a while, and Phil. It was just a great place to be, and they had everything. I mean, you could get you can get a Saxon 45 on clear vinyl, or you can get a Todd Rundgren white label, or they just had everything.
They had everything. And yeah. I ended up in the 90s picking up like literally stacks of Ramones 7-inches from there, because they were behind the counter and they were like laying flat, in those little cubbies, and I'll take whatever you got. No one wanted them at that time, and they were dirt cheap. Prices probably from 10 years earlier.
Well,
And
that's the thing I missed. To talk about a segue here. It's the thing I miss the most about record stores, which is, there was no Discogs, there was no, computer. It was, you got a stack of records in, and you just had to know. You had to know this was $3.99. You had to know this was $25. It was just an art at the time. And now it's like you trade records in, or you try to sell records, and everyone has to be looked up. And
yeah, yeah. I say that repeatedly on the show, how, collecting was a lot more fun as a collector. It was a lot more fun when you can go into a store, go to a record fair, and the prices were arbitrary, but, you could still get a bargain. Now you
yeah,
could still get a bargain, but it's a lot tougher to find.
yeah. The one of the I guess the thing I love about record shopping is when I shop for myself. If I'm out looking for stuff that I want to fill up my bins with, or put online or whatever it is, then it becomes a real chore, because you just can't do it. Everything is priced based on what the going price is online. Now, it's not a bad way to do it. It's good business sense. It's just not much fun.
Right.
It used to be fun where you would find like a whole stack of mistakes.
Yeah.
Now it's rare if you find a mistake.
Right. Exactly. It's still possible. A couple of weeks ago, I picked up the Tracy Chapman record. Now, for some reason, that record has gone sky high. It's about a
Yeah,
$40 record. I don't know why, but I saw it for $8. And I said, listen, I'm not a dealer. I don't, I don't particularly like Tracy Chapman, but I actually bought
right,
that knowing that it was an expensive record, and it was only $8.
right, right. You got to do it. Yeah, you have to grab them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, at some point, will I, ditch it? Hey, at some point, if I do another Coney Island Brewery record fair like I did back in 19, where it's not going to cost me for a table, it's my show. I'll set up, a table of just some of the stuff that I want to get rid of. But for the most part, once it's in here, it's like a roach motel. It doesn't leave.
If I had the space, I would never sell anything. It's the truth. I put things up for sale, sometimes just as bait, like if I get people looking, then once other things start selling, I start removing the things that I don't want to sell. Like I just get the ball rolling with one particular piece. And I wouldn't sell anything, but who has the room? It's insane.
Well, that's it. You mentioned Tony Panizzi. Well, he's
Did we
got,
freeze again?
it says my internet is unstable, but I guess we're all, it should be back now. Are we good? Good? Am I moving?
Yeah,
All
so
right.
far I'm listening.
You're not moving. Yeah. Now you're moving again. Okay. Yeah. So, not good. So we were talking about Tony Panizzi, and Tony's got like hundreds of thousands of records. I don't know where he keeps it, but I've been trying to get into his house just to see the volume of what he has. And his name has come up very often on this show too, because what a nice guy, and
great guy,
an incredible record collection.
Yep.
I met him at Mike and Amanda's show in in Garden City, at the Vinyl Revolution show. And he sold me a couple of Sabbath records. And this is like 4 years ago already. And he still remembers those Sabbath records. Oh, yeah, you got a good deal on those.
Yeah, he's fun. He's funny. I bought this it was the best collection I've ever had. And there was one, maybe two full boxes of nothing but picture discs. It's not really my thing, but there were two of the same Jackson 5 picture disc. And it was their first record when they left Motown, when they were on Epic. And there was not much information on the record, except I recognized the single, Enjoy Yourself. So I looked it up, and it ended up being this amazing piece. I wound up selling both of them to buyers in France.
Wow.
Okay. And one I think went for $350 and another one went for maybe $450.
Wow.
So yeah, I was shocked. So at one of Mike and Amanda's Vinyl Revolution shows, I see it on the wall. Tony's got it. And there was no price on it. And I didn't want it. I was just curious. And I was like, Tony, what do you got on that Jackson 5? And he's like, it's a lot. I said, no, I know. I said, I had two of them and I sold them. I said, I'm just curious, what are you asking? Yeah, it's too much. He just wouldn't tell me. like I don't know if he ever sold it or what he was selling it for, but like he just kept going, no. It's like, okay.
He was waiting for some French guy to come over.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just fun. Yeah, I mean, he's I get a kick out of him, and the funny thing is, I mean, I hadn't seen him since when did Zig Zag? I mean, it stayed open for a long time, okay, but it wasn't what it used to be.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Exactly. So the heyday, maybe early '80s, mid '80s, the latest. I mean, Tony was gone before that. You know what I mean? So I hadn't seen him in a really long time, and then he wound up working. I believe we're going out in public with this, so I could be wrong. I think he ended up working at Smash once I left to go do NYCD. And then we met up at the record shows.
It sounds familiar. He did tell me his whole lineage of the record shops that he's worked at. And he was somewhere on St. Mark's, whether it was Smash or I don't think it was,
I believe it was,
or it could have been Venus, but what it was somewhere on St. Mark's. And Zig Zag closed. It's got to be that 15 years, 10, certainly 10, 15 years ago. But yeah, I mean, even I was going there mid 80s through the 90s, really. And before it was closing, it was a shell of what it was even 10 years, 15 years earlier.
I was there. I'm gonna say 2009, and the reason that year sticks in me because it was I had gone with an old Sheepshead Bay pal of mine, and I think that was the year where we finally got back, after not seeing each other for years, and there were just records thrown like no rhyme or reason. Stacks of records with no prices on them, bad condition records with like $50 price tag. It was impossible to buy anything. It was just it kind of broke my heart a little bit because I wanted to go back and just feel like what I felt in 1978 or 79, whatever it was. But it was not that.
Nah. I mean, what shops do you now? We ran into one another at Station 1 in Jersey.
Yes.
And that was the first time that we actually met. I was following you on Instagram, and I want to talk about your collection and how eclectic it really is. But we first met it was less than a year ago.
Sure,
at Station 1. That's a great shop.
It is. It's frustrating having it not next door to where I live because he posts these great things, and then it's like, okay, it's gonna. How do I get there? I mean, right. I'm in the story of Queens. But there's you could find some great stuff there, and they're friendly people, and I mean I dig it. It's all right.
Yeah, nice guys. Prices are what they should be. They're not. I mean, they're really not gouging on anything.
No.
When you walk into you walk into some stores and the prices are outrageous, and it's is it a museum or is it a record shop? But
I agree, and that's one of the problems. I've always been of the mind as a dealer. I want to sell the record. I don't care if it stays on the wall. I mean, I want it on the wall so people can see it, but ultimately I want it off the wall. I want people to buy it. Right. And I tell you one thing that Station 1 did, which I thought was great. They had a copy, a sealed copy of the Rolling Stones Stripped, the original one from 98 or whenever 95. And you could tell the shrink was starting to get a little tight. The it was bubbling up a little bit. And maybe they had 100 on it. maybe 125. I don't remember, but it wasn't really an unfair price. But I took a chance and I said, look, this has been sealed for the last however many years. Look at the cover. I said, there's a really good chance that these records are warped.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have trouble with this. I said, if you open this up for me right now and show me that these records will play and that they look okay, I'll walk out of the store with this. You'll just have to give me a little bit of a break on the price. I mean, there wasn't even any arm twisting. It was like, yeah, you're right. And they did it, and it was great. And the records weren't warped, and I got it for a decent price. And it was just something that I can't imagine happening in a New York City store. I just, I don't see that type of accommodation, happening in Williamsburg or, whatever it is.
The shops are different now, they certainly are, but those guys they're really aces, now. So this Stones record, what, a 30-year-old record, give or take?
Yeah.
And you had no
95 or 96.
All right. So, whatever it is, 25 years, you had no problem opening it.
No, I mean, if we're going to talk about collecting records and stuff, I'm not really a collector. I want to play my records. I want to listen to my records. Now, there are certain things that I do collect. Okay. I happen to have one right here. Okay. My single favorite record of all time is the Who Sellout. Okay. So I'll buy Who Sellouts whenever I see them. Okay. It's US stereo. This is an original UK mono.
The new box set.
I bought the new box set. I have it up on the wall behind me. But in terms of collecting, I'm not a big fan of the collector's part of Record Store Day. I like the music that they're releasing. I want to own the records. But if I get a sealed record, I'm tearing it open. I want to hear it. I want to play it. And then I'll take care of it and put it on the shelf. Yeah. But I don't, years ago, I was a big Todd Rundgren collector because I'm a huge fan of Todd Rundgren. And, I buy the colored vinyl promo 45s. I once got a promotional TV for the Hermit of Mink Hollow record or the Red and Blue something anything. But, it just doesn't faze me to have like that many copies of the same thing. I'm only going to play one. Although in the case of like certain Who records or certain, where the stereo and mono differ slightly, I'll have more than one copy of one thing, the German stereo, a quick one, the Who is fantastic. So I have to have that as well as a mono. So there's a little bit of craziness up here, but it's mostly I'm buying records because I want to listen to the records.
Right. Okay. Which, it's a combination of both for me. I'll buy them because I want to listen to them. But like in the case of the new Alan Vega record, there were 3 variants out there. I got 2 of the 3. One of them I knew I wasn't going to open. And so it was like the deluxe collector's edition, which is on Red Smoke. Then there's the collector's edition. There, 2 limited ones. And then there was just the plain black. So I got the first 2, the highest 2, opened, the middle one, listened to it, love it, and I'll just keep the other one sealed.
Right. But it's hard to, you have to really, I forgot what record it was, but it was coming out of Third Man, right? They do all these limited pressings, plays from the inside out, you got to, all this weird stuff. And it may have been the McCartney 3 that came out, the end of last year. So I get like an email at when I'm up early, right? So let's say it's 6 a.m. I get an email and I'm like, oh, look, they're having, limited edition sale on the McCartney 3 on, whatever, green vinyl. So I have a cup of coffee and I say, I'll buy one of these. It's a Beatle, and that'll be my copy. It's sold out in like 5 minutes.
Right.
Now, I think, again, this is, I could be wrong, but I think in the last Discog list of the most expensive records sold for the month, that was like, it was like $1,200 or $1,500. I mean, it's been out for 3 months,
right?
You know, and that's the thing about Record Store Day that frustrates me, is that I get why they're doing it. Part of me, I'm bitter about it because my store closed 2 years before. You know, I believe Slip Disc, Mike, his last day of business was the first day of Record Store Day.
Oh, wow.
You know, and so you kind of wish, well, I wish I had this opportunity. So I get why it's a good thing, and I hope it does what it's supposed to do. But from a consumer, a guy who wants to buy records to listen to records, it's like a stress test.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how am I going to get this? Who's going to have it? How many are there going to be?
That's it.
You know, and I just want this stuff out there. I just want to go, okay, I want to buy it all right now and take it home and play it.
The upcoming Record Store Day, they split it into two now. It's in June and July.
Right.
And I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that I'd like, you know. I mean, it is Ramones and Lou Reed, anything that they're coming out with, I'm going to get.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm most excited about, talk about a stress test, you know, trying to get a copy of the Cro-Mags Age of Quarrel,
right,
forget it, you know. I mean, like, it's just impossible. So they put this, you know, out as a Record Store Day piece, and now Harley Flanagan is,
he went like, ballistic.
He's trying to stop it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, just let me get the one, you know, then go fight, you know.
Right.
So it's just like, you know, it's just one of those things where I would probably, I don't know, I can't say. I know some retailers who hate Record Store Day. I know some who love Record Store Day. If I was a retailer and I knew that, like, on one day I was going to triple or quadruple my business, if that was the case, I would look forward to it. But then you go into certain record stores, you know, 6 months later, and there's these bins, like 25 copies of the colored vinyl, you know, Public Enemy record from like 2011 that nobody wanted in the first place. You know, you can't return the stuff. And that just makes it less fun, you know, for the retailer, of course. But even for me, I look at it and go, you see, you know.
Yeah. And then you have the consumers who will go in and buy, you know, on spec, basically, just, you know, oh, well, this is going to be rare, so I'm going to buy it and then come home and Discogs it and put it up for triple.
Right. The flippers, you know, and that's going to happen, and you can't stop it the same way you can't stop ticket scalping. Right. The same, it's just, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I feel like you, as a consumer, as a buyer, as someone who loves to buy records, as you are, okay, there are many cases, more times than not, that if you just wait, right, you're going to see these prices come down, and then suddenly there's 20 and 30 and 40 available. And I know this. I've seen it happen. All these, however many Record Store Day years, you know, in a row. Right. I've seen it happen. Do I do it? No. I rush. I try to get everything at once, pay what it is so I could have it. And then, you know, 2 months later, I'm looking and I'm like, oh, look, it's half price. You know, but that's the thing about it that I'm really on the fence about the whole thing. That, and what started this, talk about collecting. They're creating collector's items as opposed to letting something become a collector's item. And that just seems like cheating to me, you know?
Right. It absolutely is. When they, you know, run a limited edition of 500 or 1,000, you're talking worldwide 1,000. So every record store, you know, if you're lucky, might get one. Right. It's, you know, why? It's just not fair. You know, but at the same time, I guess that generates the buzz, and that gets you as a consumer out to the store early, and we'll spend the money. So, oh, well, they don't have that limited edition, so I'll get this instead. I guess that's the.
Yeah, well, and that makes sense. I mean, that really does make sense. But have you seen, or are you familiar with this David Bowie live album rollout that they did online?
No.
Okay. Talk about like really ringing out a catalog since his death. And I'm a big fan. So they announced this project called Brilliant Live Adventures, and every other month, I think, they were going to release a double live album from his like mid 90s to late 90s period, as well as this box that you could put all 6 double albums in. And they would tease on Instagram, they would tease on the website, and then they would go on sale. And the first 2 or 3 were pretty easy to pre-order, and you got them. And then it became hell.
Right.
The 4th release was like really appealing, and then that sold out right away. And then the 5th,
yeah.
And then everybody on every Bowie chat room and online complaining about the whole thing, but nobody had a solution. Like nobody said, well, why don't you do it this way? Or how about if you, instead of doing this? Because the truth of the matter is, if you just released a double Bowie live album commercially every 2 months, nobody would buy it. Nobody would care. Like the Bowie fans would. But the whole point was to create the buzz, and to sell out on pre-orders. So I got it. I understood. Like as much as I would have enjoyed just walking to a record store and buying them, you can't do it. Otherwise, then, you're not going to sell them out. I wound up missing out on 1. I got 5 out of 6.
Eventually,
but I'm not losing sleep over it.
Eventually it'll turn up, and
if I get it, I get it.
I mean, that's the double-edged sword with Discogs and with eBay is that eventually you will see it at a price that you want to pay. Part of it, like you mentioned,
absolutely. And
go ahead.
No. I was just going to say it's we talk about the Who sellout. It's all a matter of how excited you get about something, and I'm not embarrassed to say that I'm just as excited now as I was when I was a kid. I love what I do. It's a constant debate with friends, and not really friends so much, but family. Like, still doing that record thing? Well, it's not a thing. I opened up a business. I made a living out of it. I'm still, it's not a thing, but you couldn't find the original Who sellout with the poster for years. Even if I had $2,000 that I wanted to spend on it, just wasn't there, wasn't available. They only made 500 of those posters.
Wow.
Then it was on eBay one. This is going back maybe 10 years. There was one on eBay, and I bid on it. I got lucky. Nobody cared. Nobody was bidding on it. I wound up getting like a VG record in a VG cover, which was fine because I already had a beautiful
the original
copy,
pressings, right?
Just no poster. I wound up getting that copy with the poster for $89.
Wow.
Now complete. That's like a $1,500 record. So the idea is, if you're just not itchy with the trigger finger, if you're just waiting, it'll all come to you at some point. Yeah. It's gonna turn up. I don't have the patience.
And that sort of turned me. Like going back 20 years, give or take. Prior to that, I was heavy into records, and then I guess it was a combination of eBay really started to take off. And, the kids are getting old, you gotta, buy diapers and whatnot. And I didn't have the time to sit and listen to records. And the kids took over this room with, all it is. So records were out, but it was the sort of excitement in the hunt wasn't there because, well, you just type it on eBay and everything is out there,
Right.
Whatever I can imagine, it's there.
Right. It's, you could find anything, and that's something else that for a while I was taking records in on consignment, and I don't mean like a band, giving me 20 copies of it. I mean, like, here's my collection. Here's 2,000 records. Okay. And we make up, a contract on how it would work. And I told him, I said, this is all very transparent. I sell at, when I was doing more record shows, I haven't done a record show in a while, but when I was doing record shows, I would say, here's where I'm going to sell. I says, otherwise I'm on Discogs and I'm on eBay. Mm-hmm. You can look and see. Okay. This isn't somewhere you come into a store, I give you $1 for what I know is a butcher cover, you leave, and then I put it up for $500.
Right.
That's not what this is. So when you look at me and you say, you're only giving me $1 for Between the Buttons, I'll say, go look on Discogs and you'll see. So that part of it has become somewhat frustrating, because all you have to do is a couple of keystrokes on your keyboard, and there it is. Could you get me a copy of so and so? Yeah, it'll take me 10 seconds. Right. You just have to wait for the mail to show up, but it's all there. I mean, there are very few things. I don't know how often you shop on Discogs, but almost everything on my want list is in Denmark.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How come nobody in the States has any of these records?
Okay, so there's that. Excuse me, and then there's the idea that there are American bands that are only releasing albums in Europe, and I don't understand that. I can't wrap my head around. Here's a band from New York, and every album is put out by a European label. So now, if I want it, I need to pay that $20, $30 shipping to get it from Europe.
I think it just has to do with the market. I think there's I mean, this is not saying that American rock and roll fans aren't as crazy as European rock and roll fans, but I mean, you see it. I mean, you absolutely see it. I have a friend who's in an amazing, garage band called the Electric Mess. Oh, and yeah.
Who's your friend?
Derek. Well, I know them all now, but Derek and I know each other for a while. We met playing, I played drums and he was playing bass. But they go on tours of Portugal and Spain, and they fill up the clubs. I mean, the fans are amazing over there. I just don't see that happening, where an American club will put you on the bill with like 8 other bands and, throw your merch table over. I mean, people came to see the Electric Mess with, so I think there's something to do with that as well. It's probably, that they're a little more savvy when it comes to, putting out, okay, we could do this many records. We could market it to our fans here, but just looking at the records that I want to buy, even American pressings, they're only in Europe, and so I don't know, just a strange phenomenon.
That's weird. I booked the Electric Mess for the last Mermaid Ball that we had. The after party for the Mermaid Parade, and they were so good. They're tore great. It up. They were great.
They're, what I love about them is that they're incredible musicians playing the garage rock that back then those musicians really couldn't do it.
Right.
So you're getting the sound, but you're getting the chops too with these.
Oh
guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's what a full sound.
Yeah, where did they play? They played. This is before. Was it Cha-Cha's? Right, where on the boardwalk in Coney Island?
I mean, that was quite a while ago. I had them out at the place was called Kitchen 21.
Right.
Just last week, it was it was taken over during COVID by Gargiulo's, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the family that owns Gargiulo's took over Kitchen 21. It's now called La Tombola. And it's in that beautiful, landmark building on the boardwalk with the sun deck. And, we had the Mermaid Ball up there.
Okay.
Mermaid Ball is great because it's, I produce the show. So it's, the rock and roll bands that I like, Burlesque and Sideshow. and it's a great party. It's a
It's my
lot of
favorite. It's my favorite place.
no
Yeah,
another band that
Coney is.
yeah. The house band is the Coffin Daggers.
Yeah.
These guys, I mean, you talk about musicianship. These guys are unbelievable. I mean, it's okay, yeah, it's a surf band, but the skill level, the musicianship that goes on within that band is unreal. And they've got such a great, like
Yes.
a unique surf sound. It's not surf, it's like just an amalgam of surf and acid rock. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Definitely
Yeah.
good stuff.
So now, in your personal collection, you've got a ridiculously eclectic collection. I mean, because you're posting on Instagram, and it's like Sinatra one day and Motorhead the next. I mean,
Right.
you're all, and you love Rundgren, and we should probably talk about Rundgren getting into the Hall of Fame finally.
Sure.
But
All I've for I guess it's 12 years now. I've been doing this daily blog called Burning Wood, and it started after my store closed. And the idea was that I wanted it to be like the conversations you would have over the counter with your regulars, with customers who were coming in and looking for something new. That's what I wanted it to translate into.
which is basically what I'm trying to do with this show, is just those same
Right.
conversations.
Exactly. This is exactly the conversation. Right.
You don't know where it's going to go,
and one of the things that I get commented on. I think we're breaking up a little bit here again.
I'm looking good.
Okay. All right. Okay. One of the things that I get comments on the most is how I can listen to both Frank Sinatra and Motorhead, or how I remember writing about the Cro-Mags once, and I don't remember who commented, but the comment was something like, "That's like really harsh," and I'm like, yeah, but there's something really fantastic about it. I mean, it's, and I'm trying to explain, how great Doug Holland is, but, I'm not selling it, because but I understand. I get it. I totally get it. But I like it. There's very little I don't like. I like pop music. I like a good pop single. I'm not a Bon Jovi fan. I don't own any Bon Jovi records. I happen to really like Wanted Dead or Alive. And I will argue that if you could write a song as catchy as Living on a Prayer, then you do it. Go do it.
Exactly. I mean, it may not be.
I have nothing.
It may not be your cup of tea, but I mean, there's a reason that these songs sold millions of copies.
Right. I mean, I appreciate how great that chorus is. I mean, I'm sorry, like I'm not out there, fist pumping to John Bon Jovi, but I recognize, I love the single. So that's really how I listen to music. Motorhead is a different story. I just love Motorhead. It's, even like that string of terrible records that all sound the same, I like them. I mean, there's just something about them.
Well, they never changed the formula. I mean,
well, right. It's
like
exactly right.
You look at Motorhead, you look at AC/DC. I mean, they're the Ramones. I mean, again, if you listen, if you immerse yourself in it, you'll hear the differences within each record. You'll hear when they got a little better produced, or a little glossier, or a little, heavier. But for the most part, these are formula bands, and there's a reason that they went the distance.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point in that if you immerse yourself in it and you listen to it and you allow it to unfold, you'll see that it's not the same. Just like all reggae isn't the same. Just like all blues isn't the same.
Right.
Okay. It's you have to. Somebody will say, every AC/DC song is the same, right? And then they'll have, an entire collection of, I don't know. I don't want to like pick one person and look like I'm knocking this person down. But you could say the same thing about a singer-songwriter. You know, you could say the same thing about the first 6 Jackson Browne records. There's nothing that much different from one record to the other, but you happen to like that, and you don't like AC/DC or Motorhead or reggae, and I think it was the same way that I went from not being a Grateful Dead fan to becoming a Grateful Dead fan. I had to hear the right thing. I had enough of, Truckin' and Casey Jones on WNEW FM. I had enough of the 25-minute noodling of live
drums in space
right, and all that stuff. And then one day somebody played, I guess it was Dick's Picks 8, where the first set was like an acoustic bluegrass set with the New Riders of the Purple Sage, I think, from 1970 or 71. And suddenly I was like, wow, Jerry Garcia knows how to play guitar. Wow, these guys are incredible.
Right.
And then from there, I took, let me go a little bit this way, let me go a little bit that way. And then I became a Grateful Dead fan. Not everything. I don't really like the live stuff, but I like the studio stuff and a little bit of the live stuff. And that's how I learned to all the genres. You got to listen to the right thing.
That's it. The Dead, that I'm very, very similar in what you said. The studio stuff I again pick and choose as some better, some things that I'm more into. The live I really can't do. I don't like the noodling.
I try, but
yeah. I mean, I saw them twice and whatever, but and I remember the second time that I saw them, it was probably very early 90s. And 91 maybe at the Garden, and I was bored out of my skull. I mean, this was because I wasn't on any substances or and I'm like, this is just really boring.
I've tried, and there was a friend of mine, actually a couple of friends of mine who were Deadheads. Well, that's not fair. They weren't Deadheads. They were just they were Grateful Dead fans, and the package became greater and greater and greater every year. I'll take you. I'll drive you home. I don't want to see the Grateful Dead live. I'll buy your ticket. I'll buy you beer all night, and I'll drive you home. I don't want to see the Grateful Dead. I'll buy you the tickets, drive you home. We'll go to dinner beforehand, and I just refused, and I never got to see them. And I guess I regret it only because I can't say that I've seen the Grateful Dead live. But all of the live stuff that people, Cornell 5877, that's the one. I have no interest.
Can't relate.
I try.
Right.
I would rather listen to the first album, the studio album, or the Working Man's Dead or whatever it is. That's for me, and that's how I became a fan. And the acoustic stuff, yeah.
And listen again, we're not saying that music is bad. It's just not your thing,
Right, but what if you've take somebody who's never heard a single Frank Sinatra tune, right? Tell me about Frank Sinatra. What if the first thing that you played for him was Bad Bad Leroy Brown? Is that representative of Frank Sinatra? It's like it's horrible.
Right.
That's not what, right? But if you start in the right spot, like somebody finally had the courage to say, look, forget the electric stuff. Let's listen to this acoustic set. It's a bluegrass set, and listen to Jerry play guitar. That's the thing and I think that you can turn off a lot of people with the wrong music,
That's it. That's exactly it. So now what do you think of Dylan's interpretation of the Sinatra songs? Like that totally didn't do it for me.
It's hard. It's hard for me to take it seriously. I bought one of them just so I could have one of the. I think there's 6. There was 3 individual ones, and then the three album, the 3 records. Yeah. So I bought one of them, and I was like, all right, I see what he's trying to do. I get it, but it was hard to take it seriously. That's not what, it's just, he's not a crooner,
Right.
and I'm not one of those people that doesn't think Dylan can sing. Dylan is a great singer. Just has a weird voice.
His own thing.
But he's a great singer,
Yeah.
And but that's not, that's not something I'm not real. You've got to be like all the rock stars doing standards, the Rod Stewart standards records. Right. There's like 40 of them at this point. All the rock stars doing standards is very unappealing to me, with the exception of the McCartney record, because this is a guy who grew up around standards. So he didn't try to be anything but let's do these the right way with the right musicians. And he sang. It was great. I don't play the record very often, but I appreciated it.
Right.
But
now you got Chrissie Hynde, who's going to be coming out with a full Dylan album.
Right. They put that up online for a little while. It's just her and the guitar player, James Wahlberg.
Yeah.
And, I liked some of it, but, now that things have eased up, the restrictions are slowly going away and people are going to get back into the studio. We'll see, fewer cover records, fewer acoustic records, we'll hear bands doing the thing again,
right.
that's kind of exciting,
it's very exciting. I mean, I'll tell you, I was, involved a couple of weeks ago with another Coney Island event, and we filmed at Bowery Electric. We did this, this was, let's go with 3 weeks or whatever it was, 3-4 weeks ago. And it was a closed set, not live. It was just the bands. I was doing the intros, and just watching live music again was just what a feeling. I mean, it's so exhilarating. And there was no crowd. It was basically, whatever band was scheduled to film next, the film crew, and me. And it was, we had Jesse Malin was out there with his.
Yeah, I was watching. I was seeing you, posting the photos on Instagram. It looked terrific.
What a show! What an incredible show! And these guys, again, considering that there was no audience, the bands all brought their A game. I mean, it was just so powerful to witness. And
I was scrolling this morning. It's a long story, so I'm not even going to get into the backstory of it. But I was looking for a song, and what came up was a live version of "Quarter to Three," the Gary U.S. Bonds tune, by Bruce and the E Street Band from Hammersmith '75. And it was hard watching this without getting emotional, because it's been, the last almost show I went to was that Allman Brothers 50th anniversary thing last March. That actually went on. It happened.
Right.
But I was the guy out of the 4 friends that backed out. I chose, everything was happening at once. I said, I don't need to be, nuts to butts with 20,000, beer drinking Allman's fans.
Right.
So that was the last opportunity I had to go see. And I'm thinking, I had concerts canceled. I had tickets to see King Crimson canceled. Had tickets to see Kraftwerk, but I don't know I think that may have been because he died as opposed to,
right. COVID. Yeah.
Right. Rundgren, I had tickets to see the Wizard of True Star shows, canceled. So I had stuff that I was going to, but I haven't been since. Now it's got to be.
It's over a year.
I think the last thing I may have seen was Music for Enophiles at Bowery Electric. Right.
Oh, wow.
That was, which was an amazing show. So watching Springsteen do his thing, and leaning into the mic with Miami Steve and
right.
and in the class and the audience, it was hard not to get caught up in that, and that's what's going to happen with, when we get back out there. I think it's going to be like one big sob fest for the first couple of songs.
You're probably right. My last show was, all right. I went to go see Cheap Trick at was it Westbury, but it's not called Westbury anymore. The in the round, but it was only the half round. They were great. And then about a week later, and this is where I screwed up. My friends, the Gotham Rockets, were opening for Walter Lure. So I went to go see Walter Lure and the Gotham Rockets. They squeezed another band in the middle. And by the time Walter was going to go on, it was probably, midnight or something. I got work tomorrow. I'm going to get the hell out of here. I'll catch him another time. Well, there ain't going to be another time now.
Right.
That's a regret. And I mean, I had seen him dozens of times over the years.
It's I go to New Orleans.
See, now I think we broke up. Are you back? No.
Hey,
all right, now you're back. You're back.
I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Now we're good. Am I still frozen? All right.
Okay. No, it's all right. I was saying I go to New Orleans to Jazz Fest every year. It's been a thing since 1999, and I fell in love with the city, and then I started going 3 or 4 times a year and just spending a week or two, just to see the music and eat the food, and the people are great. And one of the things that was almost always a must-do thing was seeing Ellis Marsalis play. He had a Friday night residency at Snug Harbor, which is, like their version of the Village Vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, a couple of weeks into, this whole pandemic. That was, we lost him. And then it just started, one after the other. And I think this is it's gonna be an emotional time. I hope we all do the right thing, and we're not going to just dive in, like Watkins Glen, like have right. People, but I'm looking forward to just feeling a little easier about things and hearing some live music and just seeing people,
Yeah, I think that things are moving. Certainly in New York, they seem to be moving in the right direction. And, now that the CDC just said, if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. Listen, I'm still going to wear it. I'm still comfortable with it. But if I'm presented with a gig now, I can feel a little more comfortable about performing without the mask. And, ultimately, I would love to get back to gigging and just get back to like real life, going to shows, gigging, and just doing what I enjoy to do.
It'll happen. It's happening. It's happening now. We just a little at a time, but it'll happen.
We'll get there. So wow, we've been on just about an hour or so. So
that was quick.
I can certainly go on for a lot longer, but
yeah.
But maybe we'll cut it short. Was there anything you wanted to show us? Any new bands or anything that you dig and that you want to turn us on to?
Embarrassed? Yeah, not really. I'm a guy who tries to listen to a lot of new stuff and wants to listen to a lot of new stuff, and I'm ultimately disappointed. Not because of them, but more because of what I expect. Interesting enough, since you brought it up, one of the things I did this week on the blog was to ask my readers to suggest something new, because I know I'm very bad at doing it. I would much rather listen to something tried and true, or another way of looking at it is, if I'm a fan of a band and they've got 25 records, if I don't have them all, it's going to be new to me. I might as well, catch up on an older band, and I'm always finding something. But I got a lot of great suggestions from a lot of people this week. This one artist, Morgan Wade, who is, I wouldn't call her straight country, a little, alt country, produced by Sadler Vaden from Jason Isbell's band. That kind of knocked me out. There's a band called the Airport 77s, which I love the name. Sort of a as the person Shriner who suggested it says, it's like 1979 all over again, power pop. Ooh. and it's got a great feel to it. a lot of funny lyrics, a little like Fountains of Wayne, pop culture references, but like some really good stuff.
Where are these guys out of?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I didn't do my homework on that.
It's all right. You're not being great.
Like the things that here, I pulled a couple of things just because this is the type of thing that thrills me. Right.
All right. Now you're going to talk. I have to adjust my chair. My chair has been sinking
slowly.
and I thought I fixed it, and evidently I didn't. So let me you talk. I'm going to adjust.
Okay. You adjust. Talking about new music. This is fairly new to me. Okay. This is a 45 by the Common Cold. And which is essentially Bill Reinhardt from the Merry-Go-Round, Emmett Rhodes Merry-Go-Round from 66, 67, or maybe 68. Anyway, I knew nothing about this. It's considered a West Coast nugget.
Okay.
It's produced by Harold Batiste, right? Who produced a bunch of great stuff in the 60s. But this is like, Harold Batiste is like a New Orleans legend. It's like a jazz musician and a jazz composer. And here's this one-off single by the guy in the Merry-Go-Round, produced by Harold Batiste, that is absolutely amazing. Right. Sounds like a merry-go-round, And this other thing, I don't know if you can see it. This is the Casuals, who had a hit with Jessamine back in the 60s. But this is a song produced and written by Roy Wood of The Move.
Oh, wow.
And I only discovered this about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It's like listening to The Move. It's like a great lost Move track. Nothing else by the Casuals sounds like it.
Right.
And so I really get off on that type of thing. I mean, it's, I know there's a lot of great new stuff out there. It doesn't excite me. And that's not because I don't want to hear it. I'm not some curmudgeon who's, I can be.
It's new. No, I don't want it.
Yeah, no, that's not what it is. I just don't, I get great pleasure to this day pulling out tried and true records and listening to them and finding something new and discovering, did you know this one played guitar, the guitar solo on that record, or did you, really? I mean, I'm a huge Thin Lizzy fan, right? But I came in on the Mercury years. So that first record, it's been out there since 1969. I only really paid attention to it about 5 years ago.
Right.
I love that first record. That first record is incredible.
See,
that's new.
Thin Lizzy's a band I've listened to and can't sink my teeth into, and I get like mocked, but it's
a lot of people feel that way. It's not just you. I had a friend, like who I forgot what the context was, but she thought the Boys Are Back in Town was like one of the worst records ever made, right. Whereas somebody else who was trying to convince another friend of how important Thin Lizzy was compared Phil Lynott to Bruce Springsteen and said, you're a Bruce Springsteen fan. Well, Phil Lynott does for Ireland what Springsteen has been doing Jersey. For America and Jersey and the working man and, whatever it is. So, but again, it's a matter of taste. I don't really, I feel like you don't have to like Thin Lizzy. They don't have to take. Me and Mike Schutzman had this conversation. He and I are the only two that we know that don't like Thunder and Lightning. And everybody loves this Thin Lizzy record.
Right.
And he said, it's Thin Lizzy doing heavy metal. I don't want to hear Thin Lizzy do heavy metal. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. And that's and I agree. I don't like the record for that reason.
Yeah.
But Lizzy fans love it. So even within the Lizzy camp, you got,
makes sense. Sure. And, and we do have to circle back to Rundgren though. So now this is, because now what's interesting about Rundgren is prior to about 3 or 4 years ago, I knew nothing. I knew he produced the Dolls record, and I knew he did I Don't Want to Work, and that was it. And then I saw them. He was in the middle between Carl Palmer and some incarnation of Yes. I saw them at the Coney Island Amphitheater.
Yeah, I was at that show. Yeah,
Rundgren blew me away, and I was like, "Where has this been?" And I dug deep and just, and the beauty of Rundgren is that all his records are like, $3-4.
Right, right.
So,
Exactly.
I mean, you can amass almost the entire oeuvre for, under $100, certainly well under $100. I mean, we're
Right.
not
I
talking
agree.
Utopia for, for $3 also, but what a body of work. And
Yeah.
every album is completely, and then once you start researching that, who is this guy? He produced everybody.
Produced everybody. He's a great guitar player, a great composer, a great singer, and the interesting thing about this is that I follow the Rundgren hashtag on Instagram, and it's funny because even Rundgren fans, if I'm scrolling, it's all the same. It's always the same thing. Bang the drum all day, or hello, it's me. Bang the drum all day, hello, it's me. It's like you're hashtagging this guy that you apparently are a fan of, and you're referring to the same two singles that non-fans, like
Right.
the two things that people know, and it is deep. There's a lot of records, a lot of styles. As for the Hall of Fame, I he doesn't care if he's in.
Right.
I'm happy that he's in because there are people that do care who goes in.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy for him. He claims he's happy for the fans. If he shows up, that's, who knows. Knowing him, he'll show up and like do some miserable deep cut that nobody likes, because that's just how he's,
Right.
that's his make, to sabotage anything that's, that could be remotely popular,
Exactly.
But I'm a fan from the very beginning, from Nas all the way to
Yeah,
to
well, then
now.
of course, I had to dig and get the Nas records, and now I've got multiple copies of those, but Rundgren, yeah, over the last few years was just like, where has this been? What a musical genius.
He's had a bit of a renaissance. It's between Nine Inch Nails, Tame Impala, a couple of rappers, Damn Funk, all of the Roots, all of these people have been, talking about him. He ended up remixing some Tame Impala stuff, remixing some Nine Inch Nails stuff. Trent Reznor and Todd wrote some stuff. The Roots and Rundgren supposedly did an entire record that I'm still waiting for that to come out. So in the last 10 years, he's had this bit of a resurgence, which I think he deserves. So.
All right. And then I'll show you a record that like a fairly new band. So this is a band out of Cleveland, Frail. Now,
Okay.
I saw them, it was probably the November or December pre-COVID.
Okay.
And they opened up for Silvertune, which is a couple of the guys from Typo Negative at
Okay.
St. Vitus. And I just happened to get there early to catch them. They were the opening band and blew me away. It's
What kind of stuff?
Witch Doom. So it's just it's doom metal, it's slow, it's sludgy with a beautiful female vocal. So I mean, people have compared it to like Portishead, where it's not trip hop, but it's similar in that the guitars
And
are very,
she's singing as opposed to.
she's it beautiful vocals. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
it's not Cookie Monster. It's
Right.
it's like real singing. And
I got to check that out. That sounds interesting.
yeah, really, really good. And they've been putting out a lot of live stuff over the quarantine. No hard copy, all on Bandcamp. But they're certainly a band worth checking out. And
I will.
yeah, their stuff is like they've got this EP, a couple of singles, and a full length on hard copy. And I think that they're going places.
Is that the one to start with?
This is the EP. I got let me see here there we go. All right. And this is the album.
All right.
Now, I mean, it's funny. During the quarantine, they did a contest on their Instagram. Like, show your love for Frail. Post a picture, a video, whatever it is. I say, I normally do not enter contests, and I mean, whatever, leave it to someone else. And I say, what? I'm sitting here in court. I got nothing to freaking do, so let me do this. And I put on a Frail record and took a point of view shot, a video of me swallowing a sword, and I won the contest. So basically, I
Oh,
won
cool.
everything, every hard copy of things that they asked, the EP. There's like a single, like a 7-inch single in a box with like herbs and incense and like a witch cloth or something. So they sent me the entire with a T-shirt and a handwritten letter. And I mean, they were really cool, really,
That's
really
great.
nice.
Swallowing a sword is gonna trump almost everything every time.
Basically, yeah, it's kind of what I figured. So
funny story. Many years ago, I had an office job, and it was just, I did nothing. I listened to the radio. I mean, I just had nothing to do. I would just sit there. There were no computers. It was a phone and my radio. And WNEW would have contests, like trivia contests in the morning. And the question was, what was the Kinks' first single? And people were calling in, and everybody was saying, you really got me. You really got me all day and all the night. You really got me. I called in. I said, Long Tall Sally. It was on Pie. I took a shot. I thought that was the right answer. And it was. So I can't remember the brand, but I won a year's supply of ice cream. It was a brand that was popular at the time and a sponsor on WNEW. So I'm like, okay, how's this going to work? Right. About 3 weeks later, I get this box in the mail, and it's 52 certificates, each one for like a tub of this ice cream, one a week for 52 weeks. That's a year's supply, but I could only redeem it. It was some like 7-Eleven in Paramus, and I was like, so much for knowing the answer. It's like, wow. That's true. That's really true.
You wonder how those things work. A year's supply, so they send you coupons.
Coupons.
Go out to Paramus.
Paramus for like ice cream.
Lovely. Well, Sal, thank you so much for hanging out. This has been terrific. What a great chat.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Let's go record shopping.
Well, I mean, by the time this airs, Massapequa will be done. Are you heading out there?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah, there's also, I was hoping to maybe go to the Montclair thing at the same time.
Okay.
I think right now I'm leaning toward Massapequa, but I'm not sure. We got to see when.
Let's wrap it up, and then we'll talk about Massapequa.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me give my fair, because I mean, here, we're like so close. We were so close to wrapping up 20 minutes ago, and Rundgren brought us back. All right, so we're going to wrap up here. Friends, thank you all so much for tuning in. Sal, thank you so much. Remember, if you like what you see, subscribe to us and click like and leave some comments. I respond to everything. I mean, because, not too many people leaving comments, but leave the comments and I'll respond to them. So, there you go. Sal, this has been great. The Who.
Greatest record ever made, everybody. Right here, right there.
A ringing endorsement. All right, we're going to stop recording now, and then Sal, you and I will chat. So
thanks, Adam.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody, and we will see you next time on Your Personal Record.